All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the O2 podcast. Today, as you can see clearly, our third member didn't hear, and that's because he's a bitch. He didn't want to get up here and record with us, but it's okay. It is
Bro,
okay.
it's Eid.
But
It's
he
Eid.
could have done it. He could have done it Friday. I think that's what I'm gonna title today's episode is where did Shakir get kidnapped? Because he's not gonna be on today's episode. But today, very special episode. I'm testing out a little new camera. I like this little setup right. I don't think it's as crisp as I need it to be, but it's a work in progress,
I shoot on my phone.
which is crazy works to me. But how you doing today, Brody?
I'm I'm in a lot of pain. Uh my hip hurts, my ankle hurts, my toe hurts,
What
my
happened?
knee hurts. I was playing soccer.
I don't understand. Y'all need to put the boots down and realize we're retired.
What do you
we're
mean? Bro, you hit the gym, you got the gym, I got soccer.
but
Like
you
I
hit the
love to
gym.
go out and run. Do you run?
Nah.
When was the last time you ran?
Oh, like 2 days ago for the train.
How often do you run? How much cardio do you get in? Yeah, you're cooked. You're cooked. One thing I don't want to miss out on is my cardio. I don't care. In my head, one day something happens and the nigga can't run a block. Fried. Like,
My cardio is I walk. I like my gym is like 20 minutes away from me, so I walk there and back, and that's like 40
yeah,
minutes.
but like I'm talking about like your heart racing type of cardio. Exactly. Telling me to put the boots down. Pick the boots up. Like get something going, bro. Nah, but
No.
I started I haven't squatted in a long time
Mm,
because initially same shit. I had a I bet when I was playing rugby, I banged my hip and I was just recovering from it. So I didn't squat. I was just doing everything else. And I started squatting again. And first day back, tens, everything in my body hurting.
the quad.
Everything in my body hurting.
Every time
Uh
my
yeah.
problem is every time I've tried to squat and I miss out on some time, I try to go back to the same way I left off at, and I could do it. It's just how I feel afterwards. It's just like cooked.
Yep.
Then you're like
Bro.
limping.
I put 45s on each side. I set my limit. Yeah, so I'm just trying to get back into that. That's like the only thing. Everything else, like I go back to my regular weight. I started lifting. I guess it's more because I started lifting aggressively again. Like I
Mm.
just jumped right in. I didn't even, except for the squats. But yeah, and then soccer yesterday. You know when two people are about to kick the ball. It's like mine. The ball I used the more forward portion of my foot,
Yeah.
and yeah, so the power from that ricocheted into my leg, and it's like, I
Are you
guess
like
it's hurting
are
a
you
little
like in
bit.
a men's league?
No, no, it's my job. Like
Oh.
we just all get together, we play. But there is a team. There's a team Thursdays. I don't got time for that shit.
Hmm.
Like I got nothing going on, but I don't got time for that.
Yeah. Yesterday was a bittersweet moment for me. So for the viewers,
Yeah, what happened?
for reference, if you don't understand, we don't have an episode at 10:30 because it's currently 10:20, and this is when the recording is we're currently recording it right now. 10:20 on a Saturday. So I'm gonna try to right after this, I'm gonna really put it in the editing thing, really chop it up. Hopefully, I've texted our thumbnail guy. He hasn't got. Did he get back to me? He hasn't got back to me. So hopefully he'll get back to me in time and it will chop up something. But Broski worked what I'm finger crossing is going to be my last job in retail.
What do you mean?
Like I'm hoping I
Just
don't,
never get another job in retail?
like that's what I'm saying. In this life, never think it can't happen to you.
No, that yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't want to get up there and be like, oh, da, 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 and then months later it's me. So I'm just like, I'm gonna try to not come back here as much as often as I can. And then I was like thinking about it, and I was like, I think this is like the second, not the second, but I've worked a decent amount of retail jobs. And I was over here thinking, I was yesterday, like literally, I was there thinking about a list of all the things I do like about it and all the things I don't like about it. And I'm like, yeah, that I don't know how people could do it. And I have yet to meet someone who's worked in retail and be like, I love this.
I mean, depends on your position as well.
No, but even the managers don't like it. Like, like
That's what I'm
you have
saying.
to. Like,
Like,
that's what I'm saying. I don't think anyone that's in a position of working retail like genuinely can say I love my job, and you're not either getting
well,
paid like a like ridiculous amount or you're not dealing with customers on a day to day basis.
yeah. Also, I think like any type of customer service job,
Mm,
most every job is technically customer service. Any job you do is technically customer service. It depends on like what type of customer service it is. If you're interacting
right.
with customers themselves, it's like whoa, you know, it get
Mm,
like those varies and your emotional state and physical like physically the toll it takes on you makes you hate your job when the payment is not up to par, right? But I think there are people that actually love the jobs they do. I met this dude. I mean, it wasn't like exactly retail, but um, he's retired out here, and
okay.
he literally does Uber and works at Sam's Club. He loves
With
that shit.
two jobs, like I had my fair share of like,
He's so bored. Like he's well, to be fair, my guy is rich as fuck, but like he's bored and he's just working just to like get his day to move along. Cause at a certain point, if you well staying home and doing nothing and being old, it's like what he was like, yo, what am I doing? Let me just find something to do. So he literally said every time I go to Sam's Club, bro, he's standing there with the phone. He's like, beep, beep, you're good. You're good. I'm like, bro, this that's
but it
all
was,
he does.
but that's
But
somebody, but that's somebody that's really doing it for the enjoyment of the game. Like I'm talking about, like doing it because you depend on it. Like that's different. He's made his
oh,
money.
you can never. I'm not gonna say you could never, but I don't think at a certain point you, at a certain level, you can't love that
Yeah,
because you
and
know, like you could do better in a sense.
I'll never forget, like the retail job that I just worked, and this is gonna require some heavy editing for sure. But the one I just worked, like initially when I started, I would well, first of all, that's not even the first retail job I worked. The first job, I did this. I worked so many jobs. The first job I really like that really like was like trials and tribulations was my summer picking peppers. That job, but the thing is, regardless of how much I really didn't like it wasn't that bad. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, because so for viewers for context, this was like if you're from New York, the SYEP program, and people were in schools that summer. I think we were like, that was our sophomore year in high school, and I got picked to like pick peppers, like nothing too crazy. It was like farm work and like trench work, and I didn't like hate it. But I realized the reason I didn't hate it, and this is not something to realize by myself, is the person that was managing us or the manager of that establishment was like he was doing the work too. Like he wouldn't tell us to do anything that he himself wouldn't do. So while we were like shoveling the woodpeckers, he'd be picking peppers. While we're picking peppers, he's shoveling, or like he's doing some. He's working with the compost. So like initially, don't get me wrong, I was tired every day after every shift. I made my little money, and back then, what 600 every 2 weeks, baller. But
Hmm.
I was like, because the manager would do the work with alongside us, it wasn't that bad. That's why I didn't like the job at the gym. That's why I didn't like the job at the gym.
I mean, he was barely there. I loved it because he wasn't there. But to each their own, you know.
But somehow I was the one always getting caught, and I was like,
Bro, don't be ridiculous. You're not a victim. You are
oh
not a
no,
victim. Do
I
not.
know I'm not. I hated it. I
Oh,
hated that.
okay,
I
okay.
hated that job. I hated that job.
I thought you were about to play victim. I was about to be like, bro, if I was the manager, I'd have been fired you. From what you were doing, keep it a buck. You would have
What,
fired yourself too.
what was I doing?
Quadro. You showed up. Well, first of all, you show up to work. Sometimes when you show up late, you don't even message them that you're going to show up late sometimes. Exactly. So that's one. Two, you show up late and then you grab your stuff. You don't even start work right away. You grab your stuff, take a seat on your phone. Scroll. You have the gloves in your hand. You have everything you need to do to start your work. You take a seat. Scroll. Scroll. Every time you hear someone opening the door, you make sure it's not him. Scroll. And then you're like, damn, I'm tweaking. Let me get up and work. And then you're working. Like, I'll give it to you. You work a few cubbies. Go take
Phew.
a bathroom break. Go
Phew.
take a bathroom break.
I think I took a shit at that establishment every single
Bro,
day on the clock.
like you dare go take a bathroom break. Scroll, scroll, scroll. Come back out. Look around. He's not coming. Scroll, scroll. Okay, and then finish your work. And it's like, bro, he catches you. You're like, you know, like when you get caught doing something you're not supposed to do, and then you kind of pretend like you had something important to be doing. Yeah. So it's like, I was like, all right, man. For me, I just wanted to get my shit done and just get out of there.
No, but when you left, it was like I was like really on it. Like I was like I came in at your time. I wasn't late anymore. I came in at the time I would do the work. It was just what he was asking out of me, just what they were asking out of me just didn't make any sense to me. One, does it like I'm just like, as long as the gym gets cleaned once a day, does it really matter what time it gets cleaned?
No, not really. It shouldn't.
That's what I'm saying. It didn't make any sense to me why you'd have me come in so early to clean. But then I like after I left, I was like, I realized and I was like, oh, that probably makes like the people were coming in the like he had the schedule for like a reason. But at the time I didn't understand it because I was like, it didn't make any sense. And then when he had asked me, when he was going over how to re-clean the bathroom, and he was like, you need to start putting Q-tips behind, you need to start wiping the back of the what is it, the water, the faucet with Q-tips. I was like, you lost me. Because who's going
The
back
water
and
fountain?
not the water fountain, you know the thing you do to wash your hands?
Yeah.
Like you flip it, and then he's like, you're supposed to close it and get a Q-tip and get behind, like behind where nobody's seeing, get behind there and clean it.
I mean, no, the reason I do that every day is kind of wild, but I'll get it doing it once in a while because grime and stuff could like accumulate. That makes sense to me. But doing
no,
that every day,
it was like every day
it's
when you clean,
crazy.
make sure you grab a Q-tip and you really like get behind there. And I'm sitting there and I'm like,
Q-tip, hey, that was
yeah.
something new. He told you.
And then on top of that, so mind you, I had to the routine, like it was like, all right, so for 4 hours, you go in there and you clean the what do you call it? You go in there for 4 hours, you clean. I think you start off, you
Well, it
take
depends
out.
what shift you have, though.
I had your shift after you left. I had
Okay.
your shift. You take out the towels, then you gotta like check, like you gotta check the entire gym for like if people are like, what is it? Like and clean like the mirrors, like you have to wipe down the where people wash their hands, clean, change the things in the urinals. Like in retrospect, it wasn't a bad job. It
Oh,
was
you did that?
yeah. I had to do all that, and after you clean that, you have to go in the showers. I think there were 4 different showers. You have to
Yeah.
scrub down those tiles. Go
That's fair.
that no, that's
That
fair.
one is fair.
Go to the bathroom, wipe down and clean the inside the toilets, the two of the toilets. And then after you're done with all of that, you have to cut. And then he was like, oh, like I'm not cleaning the inside of the cubbies, but outside the cubbies, I had to clean that as well. And I have to mop the whole thing. This is the part that really threw me off. You have to mop it with a wet and a dry mop. So you
That's
like
a hazard, though.
it's a hazard there, but like I'm just like, why don't you just put why don't you just put the sign, like that's what the signs are for? Why am I then now mopping it dry? Like you put the sign in front and you people know, yo, it's a little bit wet, just be careful. Cause I'm walking
Nah,
there,
I don't think I could agree with you on that part
the
because,
mopping the thing dry.
well, you mop it and then you dry it.
No, but
That makes sense.
no, but it wasn't like you. I would understand it if it just like you just mop it. You after you mop, you do like an initial wipe down. You had to stand in there and wait until it dried.
See, that's a perfect time for you to be on your phone
No,
because
but
you're
like
just chilling.
no, but he
That's
was
what I
like
did.
no, but then he was like you can't just stand there. You have to like continue to just keep mopping until it gets dry.
Oh
And it
yeah,
took
he dry.
yeah
Well, I think after seeing you a couple times on your phone, he just tried to keep you working for your whole 4 hours. Cause with me, like every time I feel, you know what happened actually when
what
you started working and he started seeing you on your phone, he started watching me. And every time he would come to the back, like I could tell, I just know when he just spawns in to check if I was doing my work. Because he never really used the bathroom when I was there by myself. Right? He never had to use the bathroom. He never had to do anything. And then out of nowhere, periodically you just pop in, go to the thing and wash his hands. I'm like, bro, when you walk in here, your hands look clean. like doing that 3 times a week out of nowhere at the same time exactly. But like I'll just mop once, open the door, put a thing there, let the wind blow in, and I just sit there relaxing. And every time you come to check to use the bathroom, every time you come to use the bathroom, I'm there mopping the floor dry. Like I always had something going every time he showed up, so it was fine. But I was just waiting for it to dry by itself. I didn't mop until it's dry. That's wild.
No, but and the thing I hate about that gym is like that gym wasn't even like a good gym. Like it was just bougie to be bougie with equipment. Like I would go in there and I was like, what? Like you had the free weights, the cable machine. y-
It's a calisthenics gym though. It's not. It's not like your kind of lifting.
Maybe that's why I personally ended up fuck with it. But 250. See how much they were charging for membership?
Yep. Hey, people are paying though. People are paying though.
Which I'm like, it makes no sense to
People
me.
pay $300 for Equinox, but Equinox has more perks, I guess.
Literally, they have like a sauna Equinox. I'd understand the 300 for the Equinox. They got like a smoothie bar and something. Then again, they have all that. He had that. He had one vending machine that you still had to pay for after the 250.
Hey,
Yeah,
my guy found his niche.
that
He found his niche.
that was a gym. Like even the day after, I just slept and I was like, you know what? I'm not even mad at it. I'm not even mad at him. I'm not even mad at him. He did exactly what he had to do to get rid of to get rid of the worst. I think that was a. But my thing is, once something's and I think I picked this up from Shakir. Once something stops making sense to me, I lose all effort to keep doing it. I lose every ounce of effort to stop doing it.
Was that the worst job you've had so far?
The gym, I think the picking peppers is in terms of like labor, I'd say the picking peppers. But my recent job was like it was like it wasn't like don't get me wrong. I'm very like appreciate. I don't want people to think that because we were talking about it because I was talking about it yesterday with my other coworkers, and I was like, I don't want people to think that like I'm not appreciative of the job. Like it was a really like at the time for what it was gonna do, it did like it was a great job for what it was supposed to do. It was just the more you stay there, the more you realize like this is not personally where I want to be for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, which is fair, but it was like so for reference, like I was at the toy store and like nothing's wrong. I loved some of the coworkers. I love the environment. I love what it's for. I don't like is that when these retail people schedule you, they schedule you how they want to schedule you, right? They don't take what you have to do into consideration, nothing like that. So, for example, you could be scheduled like from 8 to 2 in the morning, or from 2 to like 8:30, and you don't pick which one. And for me, one thing I really like is like I'm a routine kind of person. Like I like for example, today I know that we're recording right now. After this, I have like 2-3 hours leeway to like really like focus on edit. And after that, I gotta go get like a haircut. I gotta go to the gym and I gotta go get some like other stuff, right? Like I know like which time frame I'm supposed to be where, and that's good for me. Imagine you plan out your day like that, and you wake up and you gotta shift between like 2 and 7:30. All of a sudden, your whole day is ruined. Your whole day is done. So it got to this point where it was like I was like the scheduling and it just like differed like and they wouldn't tell they just again they just put you and I hate when people and that's an advice that I've like I was talking to somebody about it yesterday. It was like you need to put in your mind these companies don't care about you.
They
These
don't.
companies don't give a damn about
I
who
mean,
you.
they care about you as long as you do the work.
Yes, that's why like an advice that I'm starting to take is that like and people are giving me is that like you need to start working on yourself more than you work on your job. Nobody's saying half-ass at your job. When you go to work, when the hours you're clocked in, do what you have to do. But once you get out, start working more on yourself than you do your job. Because at that you can't make your whole life your job. And I sure I wasn't about to do it for them. So I was like, once I started to clock that they don't really care about me as much as like I thought, bro, this one time, so they have these things called shipments, right? And
Hmm.
for some reason, I look like a dude that loves boxes. I don't know where they get that from, but
You
they
don't know
they
where
would
they
always
get that from.
they would always send me down
Really?
to like they would always send me down to get the boxes, Quasi. I kid you not. There were like they sent a shipment one time of 20 pallets, right? For context, each
Oh, you just brought up a memory. Keep going. Keep
they
going.
they sent they brought a shipment down of 20 pallets. And shout out to my guy Malik. Shout out to my guy, one of my best friends I made at that job, Malik. It was me, him, and a couple other people. And Quasi, it took us 6 hours to unload that truck in 20-degree weather.
Mm.
This was on a Tuesday. I was sick for the rest of the week, body aching the rest of the week. I would literally come into work and I literally just sat there and said, "What are they going to do about it?" Because I was like, and it was like, because I was like, it didn't make any sense, and they would always like understaff for these things, so it would just take us twice as long, and we'll always run into issues. Tired. After that day, that was a day like I clocked, and I was like, okay, they don't care about you as long as you do the work. And then very much like the managers, love to them, but it was like they wasn't helping as much as I thought they would help. That's also another thing that kind of
Hmm.
like deterred me from the job a little bit. And I always said this, like, I don't mind doing the work. Like, I don't mind somebody telling me what to do. My only condition with that is don't tell me to do something you wouldn't do yourself. That's the
Hmm.
only thing that I've asked if somebody does something. Like, for example, if my mom asks me, oh, clean, my mom is different. Actually, not my mom, but like, um if like that's my mom, but like somebody, I'm trying to think. One of the managers who I actually like, whenever he'd ask me to do something, like I'd literally like run and go do it because I'm like, if if he could do it and he wasn't busy doing something else, I know he would just get up and do it himself. So it was like every time he asked me to do something, he just doing it because he's busy doing something else. I remember, I never forget this one time, one of the managers, Quasi, I'm like, there's something called like it's I've heard two different words for it. It's called I've heard recover and I've heard replenish, right?
Hmm.
And basically, it's just like you go downstairs to the stock room and you pick up stuff and you bring it back. So I'm like,
Bro, it sounds like you worked at Target because that's exactly what I went through. The
I'm like,
pallets, the
yeah.
recovery shit.
And then I would have to go down there and like pick up boxes and cups. So usually when I come on a shift, it was always we're either overstaffed or understaffed. And it was very rare it was in between. We're overstaffed. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go downstairs and replenish so that when it's time to go, like the store's already full, right? I mind you, and then I carry like maybe like it's like handbags. I could carry like maybe like 7 to 8 at a time. That's the most I could do with both hands, right? So I carry it with 7 to 8 at the time, and then I'm just like, okay, I come back up. One of the managers walks past the garbage can, right? He walks past it like 2 feet, looks back at it, and he's like, Quadro, when you're done doing whatever it is you're doing, take out that trash. And then proceeds to walk in the back and sit on his phone.
Yeah, I'll quit my job too.
But that's the hard part. I think that's what I'm saying is that I'm like, as much as like I'm like I didn't really like towards the end I didn't enjoy the experience. I'm so grateful for it because I'm starting to understand how like certain people like the lives is like, because people, most of the people I've talked to are not there by choice. Like if they could
Hmm.
really get a better opportunity and leave, they would.
Hmm.
But it's like life situations and like life circumstances have brought them there. But I'm just like also like, how do you make an environment where it's like, okay, like we're working hard, but like you make your like at least try to make your workers feel a little bit appreciated. Like, and it's like
Yeah.
they don't. And I'm just like, it's not the worst job, but it's the job. I think it's the job that taught me the most. It like
Hmm.
taught me the most about like you like my perspective when I first started, my perspective now completely two different things. And I'm grateful for it. Would
I
I go
think I went through what basically you just went through when I did
Target?
the summer job at Target. Basically, instead of 20 -20 or 20-degree weather, I was doing 96-degree weather. But to my then, even though my manager, she was like, she was pregnant, but she actually went out and like she wasn't doing no, she wasn't doing all that. She was getting us drinks. She got us like she was like, yo, what drink do you want? Because I mean, are you bugging? Like we sweating our asses off. And she was like, yo, what drink do y'all want? Because I know you guys are struggling. Like the pallet was not even the whole truck was not even supposed to come that day. So she was like, "Oh, does anyone want to help?" Like, blah blah blah. She picked us up. We all went. She got us drinks. After that, she was like, "Yeah, y'all could just sit around for the next couple hours because we just came out from the extreme heat into a freezing temperature." And like one thing I did love about that place though, when customers come to you and they're like, "Yo, do you guys have this?" Oh, that's my break. I just type it. Even I just type it. I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go downstairs and check." Come back up in like 10 minutes. I sit
Oh.
down for 8. I know it's there. I know where it is. Sit down for 8. Go and come back. But um, yeah, doing physical, doing that sort of work made me realize like, yo, this isn't for me. I don't plan on being here long term.
Yeah.
And however I'm gonna get out of here, I'm gonna get out of here. The next summer, I got into corporate.
Like, and that's
Bugging.
I'm thinking about I have a friend now who works at Target, and I think as of right now he ranks as like the best manager like I've ever had. And like, don't get me wrong, he still told me to do stuff, gave me instructions, but again, it wasn't anywhere near where like one, he was always on the floor, like he would always help out, and like he would relate to us as much as he possibly can. Like he like
That helps.
he that's what I'm saying is that like having, and this is like advice I'd give to anybody who ever watches us or sees a clip of us where it's like you're a retail manager, is you have to understand these workers like don't already want to be, some of them don't want to be there. So how you interact with them and how you keep them engaged in the job makes everything, right? And I had this
Yeah.
manager, shout out to him, he's one of my best friends now, was one of my best friends, and it's like he like would relate, like when I'd be late, he's like, oh, you have school, that's fine. Like he would like accommodate for me the best way he can. Like, and don't get me wrong, I was still doing that stuff. I remember, I'll never forget, there was one day I put security tag on over 500 pennies in a shift. I have never felt more demoralized, and I was just there just pin and pin, and then like, but like we made jokes about it. Like he would come by often and be like, how you doing? He's like, I know you don't want to be here today, and I was like, yeah, and he's like, you know what, you work like, being able to relate to him like that. But he also understood like I'm human. Like I'm not some machine. I'm not some robot that you just schedule and I just come and I just slay my life. Like I'm going to get tired. I'm going to get frustrated. I'm going to get X, Y, and Z. How these managers interact with you, I am a firm believer in how your manager interacts with you at your day-to-day job is like maybe like about 30% of the experience you're about to get.
Yeah.
So
Cause that it will make you want to leave if they treat you like, yo, you're just a number. Like, connect to me emotionally.
that's what
Even
I'm
if I don't want you to connect to me emotionally, connect to me. Like, give the illusion like you're trying, right? Like, because like I sorry to cut you off, but like at Target, my manager, that lady, I show up 8:05 sometimes. She's already there. She literally brings up the pallet instead of telling me to go get the pallets because you know the shelves at Target.
yeah.
I was the dude that be setting that up. That was work. I was the dude that be setting that up. She would go down and bring that up. She was like, "Yeah, here's the instructions. Here's the tags." She would rip like she would literally set up everything for me. She would literally like try to help at even if it's like minor, just like ripping the labels up. Like that helps, you know.
That's
And
what
it makes you even it makes you feel like, oh, this person sees like, yo, this is hard work. However little I could contribute, she will contribute. And then if I see you sitting down, I don't care. You help me with the labels. Like, do you? But me showing up to work and you just being like, yo, do this, do this, do this, do this. And then you just chilling the whole time is just like, yo, all right, bro.
But that's what I'm saying is that like, and I'm glad you brought that up because like lately I've been like, I'm like, I need to start, not even need to start, but I only work with people who I think have the same work ethic as me. Like in terms of like us doing like the reacts, the social media, like now everybody that I'm like thankful to be like, oh, we're partners and we're working on something. We have a similar work ethic. Like I'm not like, and like it's like we like there's nothing more like demoralizing or something that like deters you more than when you're working so hard at something and you turn to the left and you see somebody else not doing shit.
Yeah.
Because it will always be like, why on earth am I going through all this? And that's how I felt the other job is that like, and I knew I wasn't bugging when I started to feel, I felt bad that I started to feel that way, right? Like I would always, can you believe I was never late to this? I was not late to that job until I think like I was never late. Like I'd always show up like 30 minutes early, 45 minutes early. And then I remember I was doing this and I had a conversation with one of my coworkers and she's like, I know exactly why I stand in this job. She was like, I know for a fact if something was to happen to me today, they'll go replace me in a second. I know for a fact these people in the back don't care about what we do in the front. And there would literally be moments, Quasi, where we're in the store and it's just associates on the floor. Associates. All the managers are in the back.
Mm.
And we have this thing on our ear called like a theatro, and you have to like put it around your ear, and we'd have to literally call the managers up front. And then I was like, and it wasn't with all the managers. I preface that by saying, just in case any of y'all watch any of y'all stumble across this video and think I'm talking shit. If you know it's not you, it's not you. It was like it was like some of them would be like they literally just sit in the back and do. And I'm like, don't get me wrong, I understand. Again, working, I don't mind if you like maybe take an hour or two, but for your whole 8 hour shift, if you're 6 hours and 30 minutes in the back and you only come like they only come when we call them sometimes. And
Mm.
and my biggest thing is I remember I was sitting there, I was like, what if one day there's like a real life emergency and you're not there? Or because you're the one trained to handle stuff that we're not trained to handle. Because my training just said, do this, do this, do this. I have specific roles. So I'm just saying, I'm like, it doesn't make any sense why you're always in the back. So I was that's why I ended up like not liking that job. And like, don't get
Hey,
me wrong, it did what financially, it did what it was supposed to do. They were paying every week. So that weekly check, that weekly coin was hitting sometimes. But it was just like I was just like, this isn't somewhere where I feel like long term it's going to be like for me. And like I'm always gonna press by saying like I'm like forever grateful. Like and I thank God I was able to get that job. And I was like being in there made me realize like, oh, like you need to actually like pick up things in life. Like you need to actually like start getting on your shit and putting yourself in positions where you actually want to do be in because this can't be for the rest of your life.
man, at least you moved up in the world.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Like,
I want to still like I'm still at the bottom of the barrel. Like I still have like more work to do.
oh yeah, of course.
Like you
I don't
always
feel like you ever gonna fully feel like you're on top of the world. You know, like there's always another level that you could achieve.
that's why when you guys are always like how big are you trying to get? Like why are you always on the I'm just like because I could always get more.
Yeah, but like, do you actually want to get bigger?
I do. But I don't want to get bigger for the sake of just getting big though. Like I want to get big I want to get like because I want to get big the right way. Not like I don't want to look like an obolo twit, but I want to be, like like just I just like working out. I just like working out. But
All right,
that's
man.
another
But yeah,
conversation I want to have today, brother. Where are you with your faith? Where is your faith taking you in that? Because a couple episodes back, you was like you reading the Bible with your missus, and I've been meaning to touch up on this, but I was just gonna wait till Shakir came till after Ramadan to like let him talk about it and like give us some insight.
I
Because
mean,
I'm
he
actually
did just went go through a whole month.
yeah. So I think next episode we're gonna let him touch up on his faith a little bit. I wanted to ask you, broski, where you with your faith on that? Because I know you've been a
Bro,
church boy from your youngin days.
you know
But
what's crazy? I
what's
was
up?
going to wear a shirt. I was going to this big shirt that says Jesus loves you.
Oh,
But I was like, nah, I'm wearing that tomorrow
bring
when
that
I'm
to
lifting.
bring that to the pod, but
Bro,
we love those kind of things on the pod. I only have this.
yeah,
I only have my blank t-shirts left.
bro, I got so many white tees at this point. It's like the color shirts I have is like 10.
You know where
Everything else is a white tee.
you know where you just have for blank tees? Uniqlo.
I ain't got all that money to do that.
Nigga, it's $20.
I just go to Walmart. It's cheaper.
I'll give you a couple Uniqlo tee. I know
Nah, so
I
I would take it if it's free. What am I gonna say? No?
what
Like,
size do you wear?
nah,
Medium?
me? I think so, yeah.
All right. I'll see this and I'll see here. I'll see where it's
But
taking me.
going back, yeah, I mean, I'm out here. I could go to a church, but I think the church I found is a mega church.
Mhm.
It seems like a mega church, and I checked it out online. Definitely looks like a mega church. So I don't want to be in that type of environment. And
Okay.
the other ones I've seen are like Presbyterian. It shouldn't really matter what church, but
Mhm.
me personally, I think I I was Roman Catholic. So,
Mhm.
the Catholic vibes, I don't know. It doesn't matter as long as you learn about the word of God and the pastors aren't preaching BS or altering the words to basically fit whatever they want to teach. I
Mhm.
think it's acceptable, but because of all the extracurricular activities I've been doing, I just read the Bible myself or with my girl. I try to read. She got me a book, mini thing with like 3 minute verse of the day. I also asked ChatGPT to give me verses of the day. Just read. Um, but yeah, I just try to do that. Pray. Pray, 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 and pray some more, and then pray some more on top of that. Uh, yeah. One thing I do, I be praying
So
for all y'all niggas. Oh,
I be
excuse
pr-
that language.
I
Excuse
be
that
praying
language.
I be
I pray for all of you, my
bro,
friends, my
broski.
family, except for and I pray on my enemy's downfall.
Okay, I don't do that.
Um,
But I remember
I
the other day.
do.
The other day I was in prayer.
Whoever wishes bad against me, I pray God returns it back to them. I think that's fair.
You know, I hear you, but I love what you. Cause I be pray. I was like, I always got to start. I start with Kuso because she's like the black sheep of the group, right? And I work my I work my way down. But I be praying for. I'll be praying for my homies, and that's what I'm saying is that earlier, like I think I spoke about this before, but I was like, I'm always going to be a Christian at like heart, but not even a Christian at heart. I'm a Christian at heart, period. No buts. Christian at heart, period. And my faith has always been something where I was like, I needed to be like for myself. Like, I don't want to worship for anybody else. I want to be able to be like, I have my own relationship with God, and then
Yeah, you have to
do that. But I'm not gonna lie, brother. This year, the faith shook up a little bit. I won't lie to you, broski.
How so? How so?
Oh my god! And I remember because like have I had a hard year? Of course.
You
This
just
year,
began.
like that's what I'm saying. This year was like I think probably one of like in terms of like a personal year, not like stuff that I'm collecting with, like just for myself. Like one of the toughest years I've had. And then it got to the point one time where like I don't like I was just like I was like frustrated. And then I was talking to my mom about something. And I don't know. I remember that day like I was just like so angry. That's something that I'm trying to do better at, like being mad at something and not portraying it to other people. And
Mhm.
then I was mad at something, and then she was just like you need to just keep your faith alive. Da, da, da. You need to.
Okay, yep. Thank you.
It was like she was like you need to keep your faith alive. You need to do X, Y, and Z. And then I was like, it wasn't even nothing too crazy, but I was just like I was just like so on, and I was like, if God existed, why have I not found a job? Right? And I just like threw it out. Like, but I didn't like it just came from I didn't necessarily mean it, but it came from like a place of anger. And then I said it, and then the conversation just stopped right there, right? And then a couple of days after that, she like called me. She was like crying. And then she was like, why would you say something like that? Like, God has been so good to us. Like, da, 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 da. Like, I genuinely felt bad about it. I genuinely, like, I went to bed that day and I was praying. I was like, God, I hope you know I didn't mean it. Like, it was a Netflix of emotions. Like, I asked forgiveness and all that. But then, and I haven't, like, I don't think I've told you people the story. Like, the story of, like, how when, like, I thought my life was, like, taken, like, I thought, like, I was done for. And, like, how I did, like, the 360 like this, I was like, okay, maybe brother, you need to keep your faith stronger, more alive than like it needs to be. But then another thing is like I like what I've been battling with like personally is like how do I like don't only go to God when I want something? How do I go to God when
Mm-hmm.
I'm like when I'm doing well, I'm still going to God. When I'm doing bad, when I'm still going to God. How do I, regardless of my emotion, do that? Because I like caught myself and I was like, I was like, I had like an epiphany moment where like I was thinking about it and I was like, I have this friend, we're no longer friends, but I was like, I have this friend where it feels like he only comes to me or like my purpose there is only to just feel the positive and just like give stuff. And I'm just like, how does that make me feel when I'm only talked to or like responded to when something is needed? And I was like, oh my God, but that's the relationship I have with God. I only pray when I want something. I only do this when I want something. How do I change that relationship because that's not beneficial? Like recently I've been trying like days I feel good, I still give my thanks. Days I feel bad, I give my thanks and I pray for a little bit more. Like and like stuff like
Yeah.
that. But a little bit to stay on the same topic and caveat a little bit, we I think recently we're seeing more of like a huge influx of people talk about their faith, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
we're seeing a lot more Christians and we're seeing a lot more people who are like not even be strong in their faith, but like are like portraying their faith out to the public. And then we were in a car one day and somebody was like, that's a hot take. I don't like that. What are your thoughts? Before I explain for what are your initial thoughts?
Um, for one, what I believe is if I believe and I do have faith in God,
For sure.
right? A higher power, the higher power, right? And you don't, I don't dislike you or dislike your take. You have your take. I know what I know, and I'm gonna keep believing in him, right? So that's that. I'm not gonna not be friends with you. I'm not gonna just bash you or like you said, that's a hot take. I don't like that. Just because I don't like what you're saying, that's what people nowadays are lacking. Just because I don't like what you're saying doesn't mean I'm just gonna straight up come at you for that.
Mm,
Like I'm someone that tries to understand everyone's perspective, right?
okay.
Even if it's outlandish, like some people got some outlandish perspectives. But I'm like, yo, do you? At the end of the day, the world is big enough for everybody. I'm not gonna be like, yo, I only want Christian friends. I only want this. I only want that. No, like we all intermixing. Like, cool. You have your faith. You have your faith. Everyone has their faith. Do you? Right. So if I like, for example, if I'm preaching about God and you don't like that, let me know. I'm not going to do that around you because now it's going to make you uncomfortable. If you start like talking down on my faith, see that's wild because I'm respecting you. Respect me. Extend the same respect to me. Now, if I'm preaching about God and you're like, that's a hot take. I don't like that. I'm going to ask you why. You tell me your reasons. I'm just not going to talk about it around you. Like, because you told me you don't like that. I'm not trying to like do that to antagonize you at this point. Right. So do that. Now, just because I said that and you decide to cut me off, I'll take it. Cut me off. I'm not, like, good. Cut me off.
That's
You
fair.
can't control your emotions. You can't control yourself and distinguish certain things. Do that. That's on you. But if I'm preaching about God and someone says that's a hot take, they don't like it, I'm like I said, I'm gonna ask you why, and you tell me whatever. I'm not gonna get into an argument with you because at the end of the day, everyone's entitled to their own opinions and what they believe in. So do that. But there are some. I think with every group, every social group, everything, every faith group, there are always extremes, right?
Mm.
On
No,
either end.
that's
There are
that's the part. That's
always
the part.
extremes on either end. And some people who are willing to die on certain hills. Me personally, I'm not willing to die unless God planned it for me. So I love like God, like the Bible says, love everybody, right? I love everybody. If you hate me and wish ill on me, like I already said, I ask God to reverse all that back to you. Whatever downfall you pray on me, I pray back to you.
I'm gonna sit and then
So you wish good on me, I wish a thousandfold
that.
on you.
No, but that's yeah. I'm glad you brought up the last point you brought into is that like that's the point I'm trying to get into is that like I'm seeing like a more influx of people who are like not necessarily new Christians, but people who found their faith and are now going online and are like they're like doing X, Y, and Z. They're doing this, and they're like pushing it out to the extreme. Is like, oh, you don't believe in God. This, like basically, the vibe that I get is that they're bashing other people for not doing what they're doing, which is like devote their entire life to it. And that's what I'm saying. My hot take is like I don't really like that. One, because most of these people that are doing this, I knew who you were before you supposedly found God. And like, let's keep it a buck. You were a sinner too. What I'm like really having a hard time with is like people that like are pushing it. Like, don't get me wrong. There's nothing I love more than somebody who's like strong and confident in their faith and they're able to like portray that personality. I
Mm-hmm.
love it. But when you get to the point of bashing other people for not doing what you do, I think that's where like you're missing the point. And they're like, but the Bible says this, the Bible says this. My take on that is that everyone we could Quasi and I could be looking at the same thing and have two different perspectives. Just like you're reading the same Bible as somebody else, and they're also having two different perspectives. Like I could literally read the same verse, and we would take two different takeaways from it. What people have to understand is like, and this is this is again, it's a little bit of our faith episode because, like, and that's another thing I'm trying to do is that like I'm just like wherever I go from now on, I want people to know like I'm a faith-based person. Like I'm somebody that rides on faith and I believe in God. No matter how, so this is gonna be like my episode doing that. But I was like, if you when you decide that you want to be a Christian and you make all these decisions, what you have to understand is that A, not everyone is where you want to be. And B, you're supposed to love everyone. That's the thing about Christianity that makes it so great is that you love everyone regardless of like what they are. Whether that person's an atheist, whether that person is like anything else that doesn't align with it, that person is still human at the end of the day, and they're also a child of God. Regardless, and that's what other people be like, "Oh, that's not a child
Yeah.
of God." You be sinning, regardless of how many sin somebody commits, they're still a child. Like that's somebody God decides to wake up every single day because He sees that they have purpose. It's not up to like that's something I'm trying to stay away from. Is like, and I'm not perfect at it. I'm trying to be better. It's to not judge other people. Like I don't necessarily like
It's very tough. I
very
will
tough,
say it.
very
My
tough.
girl always tells me this. Like she is like you were talking about. One thing I had to basically voice, right? Is like everyone is at different levels, every different stages in their faith. Not everyone is on the same baseline, right? So, like you were saying, if let's say you're on stage 3, someone could be on stage point 0.5. You looking down on them, you're judging them. And the Bible says don't do that. Like you're not the person that should be judging because at some point you weren't at the level you were at. So just love and appreciate everyone. Love and appreciate everyone. Don't judge everyone, right? But to what I was trying to say is, it's very difficult to not judge people. Period. Period. I'm not. I'm not even talking about just judging people religiously. Judging people. Period. Because like no matter what, let's say I see somebody walking weird. An opinion I form is kind of judging. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like judging, it's very hard to not judge anyone, period. But like you're a human. You can always improve. You can always do better. And I hope everybody is striving to improve and do better, not regress. Because regression just leads nowhere. Unless
Mhm.
you need to take a step back to even then, if you realize you need to take a step back, that's kind of a step forward.
That is
Because
true.
you're realizing what you're doing erroneously, and you're trying to be better, right? So like every step you take is forward, even if it feels backwards. You're always trying to get better at something, unless you're you know I'm not judging. Let's leave it there.
But and that's what I'm saying is that like as like time goes on, and I'm very glad to say the person I was when I graduated college is definitely not the person I am now. And I'm like very proud of that. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm still judging here and there, but these days I judge you, I have my claim in my head, and I'm just like, okay, let me walk up to you, let me meet you, let me talk to you, and then I'll come
Mm.
back and like support that evidence. I think we'll leave it on this note. But one of the if you guys pick up the toy store I worked, I'm gonna try to connect the two back there. But it was like um there I've had moments where my faith has spiked. And like one of the biggest things I've like realized is that I'm just like God doesn't make mistakes. Like wherever you are in life, wherever you decide to do, like right now, us sit on this podcast. There's a reason we're sitting. There's a reason where us two decided, like, you know what, let's come bang an episode out and get it out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always think there's a reason, right? And before I wasn't that way until like I started working at the toy store, and I'm shout out his nickname, we call him Papito Kashad, right? His real name is Malik Kashad, and he has like a YouTube channel. If you guys want to check that out, Malik Kashad TV. He does like his niche is like more like he does like divas and black artists, and like starts to shine light to like the purpose of his channel is that he takes somebody who like a has been like an old diva, and then takes like new aspiring singers and like create shows, creates documentaries, and then brings them together, and then like he like does like documentaries. He like really like he's really into music, right? I remember when I first started working at this job, like I saw him, and then in my head I was just like, oh my god, I was like, this is another YN. Like this is like he had the do-rag
Crush.
on. I was like, yeah. And then I remember one day we're both in the stock room, and then we got to talking, and he like gave his life experiences, and like I'll ask him if it's okay, but like he was talking about his life, and then he was like, he told me he was like, oh, like I graduated from, I forget where he graduated. I think he graduated from UNC, and then got his master's at Wake Forest. And then he said that, and I was like, well, what are you doing here? And he's like, well, that's a story. But then he told me, he's like, apparently, like after he graduated, he got a job as a startup at a startup tech company. And then when he got the job at the startup, what had happened was he got the job, and then one day they called him into a Zoom. Like he woke up one day and he had like a surprise Zoom link in his calendar, and they got in the Zoom link and was like, well, y'all niggas are fired. Anything else? Any questions? Like the company was done. And he, as a result of that, he was like unemployed for a year. And then as he was unemployed for a year, he like accrued a lot of debt, right? And then eventually he got like a really high paying government job that he loves. Like he works for the government, really good paying job. But then I'm like, so how are you still here? Because you're working there for like 2, 3 years. And he's like, well, I have dreams. And he's like, he like at the time was when we were starting this podcast, and we're thinking about, we're basically in talks about all our other channels, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, yeah, well, like I have this channel, and like he's like, I do a little YouTube, and I'm like, oh, I'm thinking he got like 500 subscribers, like 600, like he just chasing the dream like the rest of us. I click it, it says 130,000 subscribers. I said, why is this thing? Why is he here? And then that's when I realized how much money these YouTubers are really making, and how much you need to make to be able to live that lifestyle that other people are making. It's not easy. Point of from. But we got to talking, and he's like I just have dreams, and he's like he's like literally like I am putting my all into this, and like it's literally messing up with my life. But like he was like, I can't like a life living in this lifetime where I don't pursue a dream that's not somebody else's doesn't sit right for me. Like that's how I breathe, right? That week, I was contemplating on just like giving up on this like idea of like doing anything on social media. And I met him and like I heard his story and I was like, damn. And like I don't think he knows this, but he literally became my motivation for being like no matter how bad the situation gets, just push through. Like he's like, I've accrued a lot of debt trying to pursue this dream. Like I've like went through, like he literally has been working 7 days a week for the last 3 years, just trying to fund the dream.
Mm-hmm.
So stories like that, and I'm just like, like that week was the week. It was right when we had like stopped the production of like TTS, and like we came here. So I'm just like, and that week I was like, do I really want to do this again? Do I really? And like, after I spoke to him, I was like, wow, like we like hearing somebody speak about this, like, and then even after that, like he gave me like a huge number of tips. He gave me like his Adobe Premiere Pro account, gave it to me for free. It was like, you could go ahead and use it. Like everything I've needed, every advice I've needed, I've talked to him. So it was like one of those moments. And then piggyback over it, like he throws these shows, like he has a venue where he has singers. One of these is maybe we'll react to the documentary and like on the React channel, but he like he invited me to one of those. I wasn't gonna go, but on the day of, he was like, it really mean a lot to me if you showed up. And that's also another thing I've been trying to do, is like I've been trying to like, no matter how like inconvenient it is, I always try to show up for the people that I care about. So I'm like, I let Shakir put my ticket up on the weekend for sale, but I might have to let him retract it if it doesn't sell, and just like show up and just like worry about it afterwards. But I'm really just trying to like show up and be present for the people I care about, so that they can know that I care. Like my presence, like I care. So I showed up in that, and then he like, I remember that day again, a terrible day, and I was like, I remember literally the question I asked before I entered the venue was like, all this praying that I do, does like God like even hear me? Like, and that's another thing. I question my faith often. I still believe in it, but usually I always have this one about question. I literally like I remember that day, like that was the theme of the day. I was just like, God, like, do you even hear me? And then I walked through the building, and they were like, they through the show, and they get to like this specific point, and they were like singing this song. It was like If Only You Knew by like Patti LaBelle, which is like an old diva. And the lyrics of the song was like, oh, like if only you knew how much I loved you. And like I remember like I was looking at it, and if like for me, I don't know if I was like bugging, or maybe like I was just tired that day, but it felt like there were 4 people singing, but I heard one person's voice being like, oh, if only you knew how much I love. And that like brought like a little bit of like comfort to me that day. So after like these encounters, I'm just like, I'm always grateful for like what God is doing. I'm grateful for what he has done. And like I'm hoping that through this podcast, like I can like try to like at least highlight like some of the things I've been through, some of where I'm going, like something that's like really like show other people like God really is there. And like he's somebody that like he works in He might not always work with what you want him to work. Cause right now I could use about 10 bands. But I know he
try 10 mil talking about.
I could use about 10 bands, but I know the plans that he has for me, where I'm going to get exactly what he intends for me to get.
I'm not gonna lie. If I got 10 mil, I could live on for a couple of decades.
You could what?
I could live for a couple of decades without having to work.
You're living off of not even a fraction of that price now. Like, imagine.
Exactly. That's why I said if I got 10 mil, I could live on for a couple of decades. Cause like I know my standard of living. I know what I need. I got what I need. Now, if I had 10 mil, I don't need to do all this extra stuff.
I feel like I would. I still, if I said money, I'd like to still make videos with you guys. It's something that
Oh
I
no,
enjoy.
I would still make this. I'm talking about work wise.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But I'm still grateful for it nonetheless. And let us know if you're an avid watcher. And that's the thing. We see views all the time, but you guys don't be commenting on that. Comment how
Channel's been
you are.
growing.
It has been growing. Like, and again, all glory to the Most High. Like people, whether people watch it, people don't. Like, I'm just like, I'm glad that every week and every week, like, and that's another thing. I'm grateful that like we're all Kuso, Ibra, all you guys, all our friend group is like alive, breathing on a day-to-day basis. Just come in here and just produce something, right?
Yeah.
Again, apologies so much that this wasn't at 10:30. I'm gonna get it out today. We're gonna have an episode. We're gonna keep the streak alive of like a Saturday, just not being maybe not at 10:30. But today was a little bit of a short episode. You know, we don't have the whole trio here. We wanted something quick in that, you know, something just to keep the consistency going. You got anything else you want to leave us off with, Quasi?
Um, everyone is great, even if you feel like life is falling down. It's not.
It's
You
not.
know,
It's not.
at the end of the day will end and a new day will come.
Yeah. And I guess my message to anyone that's watching this, if you're, let me see if I can look again. If you're watching this, no matter where you are in life, you are exactly where you're supposed to be. They say it all the time. Comparison is really a thief of joy. You don't compare yourself to anybody. Your journey is unique. You're wonderfully made. Trust God. Even if you don't trust God, like trust in yourself. If you don't believe in God, again, I will never force my faith on anybody. If you don't believe in God, that's up to you. But for my believers out there, trust God, trust in His plan for you, trust in what He continues to do for you. And for my people, just as long as you don't give up, you keep trying, you're gonna get exactly what you want to get. And with that, it's been a very wholesome episode over here. Your boys at the O2. You know, not a lot of laughing today. A lot of real world chat. But you know, just something just to put some spice in it. And hopefully, we're back to laughing in the next episode. So, you got any further marks for us? Close out, boss.
Um, like, subscribe. We'll see you on next Saturday.
Peace.